Hi and welcome everyone. I am your host, Professor Tuck. Well, you guys can't really see this behind me, but let me see if I can show it to you right here. So this says life does not have to be perfect to be wonderful, and that is kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Uh I have been well. Let me do an introduction. I'm sorry, coming to you from the great state of Missouri, the town of Maryville. I want to say hi and welcome. I am your host, Professor Tuck. This is Hobo Radio, and we are doing a survival broadcast. If you guys are here and watching, hi and welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I promise you that's not fake. I've just sometimes when you say stuff and you say it so many times, it almost becomes monotone. But for me, it doesn't take away anything. I'm really glad to have you guys. I'm glad that you guys are here. And we're going to have a very interesting talk. Today is Spiritual Friday. So Monday through Friday, we do different topics so that we can keep it interesting. And the thing is I'm so well versed in so many different topics. It's not really fair to me or to you just to share one side of myself, especially when I've spent so much time acquiring so much knowledge. So on Mondays, we do Constitutional Monday, Privacy Tuesday, Community Wednesday, Digital Homesteading Thursday, and then today we close up the week with Spiritual Friday. But Spiritual Friday is more about mental resilience, about being resilient in what it is that you're doing. So we want you can buy all the gear, you can learn all the skills, but the thing is no plan survives contact. And if you don't have your brain, your mind, your mental well-being in place, you are not going to survive what is to come, what will come, and what has come. Okay, because the reality of the situation is, and this is what I've been trying to figure out for the longest time. I've been chronically homeless for the last 25 years. Those of you that have been following me for a long time know this. And so, being chronically homeless, I've been off and on the streets so many times I've lost count. And I mean, I've spent extended amounts on the streets. I used it as a form of travel. I did all kinds of different things, but naturally through the culture, through the society, through the way that things turned out, I naturally developed meant my own form of mental resilience, the ability to be homeless and not let it change me for the worst, to be homeless and to sit back and still put a smile on my face, even though I've seen some crap that would probably make you cry. uh, to have been homeless and still have a lot of talent, drive, and opportunities. To be homeless and to be not only well spoken, but just to be wise for my age and to be one of the few people that has actually ever benefited from homelessness. And so I'm a peculiar person to begin with, and I've always been a little peculiar. So it just is what it is. Hey, what's up, Taylor? Nice to see you. Do you still pee in the shower, buddy? I hope you do. Um, yes, we got to get our Taylor and get him to pee in the shower. Okay, so with that being said, uh, you know, we my what is it that I have to offer that I can bring forward that is something way more than what it is that your average prepper brings? Because I don't look at myself as a prepper. I've been homeless. At most, you could call me a survivalist. At best, you could call me a nomad, because that's really where I have been. But in those travels, I've got to experience things, to see things, and learn how to process things. And so the average person gets to a point where they are they are easily traumatized by the things in which they see. And so I've had a couple of friends, because those of you that are wondering, like, you guys may hear me talking to people in the green room, and they put chat messages up if they want to ask any questions, just like you guys do over here. uh, in the green room for about 30 minutes before the broadcast and for about 30 minutes after the broadcast, we sit back, we have a conversation, we kind of talk about different things. Sometimes I get asked questions, sometimes we just share our day. It's really, if you want to be part of the community and have a closer access, come on over to Patreon. $5 a month if that's what you got, $10 a month if you really want to support the broadcast. Okay. And this is, in the green room, we were having an after party talk. I think it was last night, and I've been asked this question several times. Like, Tuck, I see you get on here. We know what you've been through. I mean, you talk about it in subtle manners, but you're still happy, you still get on, you have a big old smile, and you're happy, you're ready to go. And I kind of made a joke about it earlier today. I'm like, well, you can smoke enough pot, it'll always make anybody happy, even the angry green giant. So, um, and that's the reality of the situation. It's that, and sometimes that's what I have needed in the early days when I was really trying to balance myself out. But the thing is, I choose to be happy. See, emotions are choices, whether you want to expect it or not. It's how you choose to react to the situation, and that emotional choice is a knee jerk reaction. It is semi instinctual of a reaction in a lot of ways. So when somebody says something mean to you and it hurts you in the heart, that is an instinctual reaction of, okay, this person has hurt me, I feel betrayed, I feel that I didn't know this person as well as I did, whatever it may be. The indicator is the emotion of hurt, but the reality, the truth of it, is that the things that which happened. And so therefore, emotion is an indicator. It is not something in which we base all of our decisions on. That's why I have a cup that says feelings aren't facts. That's the whole reason why I have this cup, is because feelings are not facts. Feelings are indicators. They will help you understand. And I've had this conversation with many, many different people. So I'm going to try and help you guys understand a little bit of how to build your mental resilience. If you're on the edge and you think, oh man, I don't think I could survive this. If you're homeless, if you're facing a lot of stress, if you're dealing with a lot of things, this podcast, hopefully this one will help you out a little bit. So, what can I teach you? What can I share with you that will help you understand what it is that you can do? The easiest way to put this is that the average human being, if I say a word like, let's say, bunny, okay? Now, when I say bunny, you associate a feeling, a thought, an image. You associate so many different things. You attach a whole profile, including feelings, to that bunny, because you see bunnies fluffy, happy, nature, innocent. So therefore you're like, bunnies make me happy. Okay, but the thing is by associating all of those words, all of those feelings, all of those things to that object, or to that animal, i.e. a rabbit, therefore you are having an emotional response that is tied to that. Okay. So, for example, um, if somebody comes up and says, I think you're a jerk and you need to go sit and spin. Okay. Um, Now that is, I could sit there, and because it was combative, confrontational, all the indicators are there that I should have an emotional response of combativeness. Basically, be let my ego step in and decide whether or not I can, how I should respond, and what level of aggression that I should respond with. There's a lot of different things that go into that. But the thing is if I remove the emotional ties, the emotional connection to the incident itself, okay? So removing the incident is his anger, his frustration. I'm not interpreting his emotions. I'm interpreting his words and his actions. So his body language is like this, okay? Well, I'm interpreting this like, okay, so now this guy is really upset. What is he saying? You did this, and this. Okay, so I'm sorry you stubbed your toe, but this is just kind of the way the world is. In some ways, that's it depends upon what they say to you. But it when it really comes down to it, um, by not associating emotions to everything that we see and hear, you have the ability to interpret it in a neutral form. And when you interpret something in a neutral form, what happens? you are able to take a level-headed approach because you are not allowing your emotions to get in control. Now, as men, this is something that we are taught, but because our parents fail to help us develop emotionally as men, such as our mothers expecting us to be able to talk it out instead of hit it out, very simple things like that, because we as men have not really learned how to process our emotions because our mothers have not really developed that in us, and our fathers have told us that it's not okay to show that because that is our example of being a man. Okay. But the reality is that you need to be able to articulate your feelings, not because you need to tell somebody, but because you need to talk to yourself and figure out what the hell's going on inside of your head. Because sometimes we get upset and it may be a stroke of ego. Sometimes we get upset and it may be something that was mean or hurtful. There's all different things. But if we go through the process and we decide that we want to, um, and we decide that we want to kind of go at it from a neutral, positive point of view, which means you remove the emotion. If I say dog, you should be neutral about a dog. There should be no emotional attachment, no emotional feeling when I say dog. Just like if I say chicken, okay, or if I say bunny or kitty cat or whatever it is, you shouldn't go oh or ew or yuck or like vomit flung up against the wall. Okay, it's vomit flung up against the wall. The the sick and the gross part, that part of that's instinctual just because of disease and stuff like that. But also on the other part of it is we've assigned an emotional response to it instinctually to begin with. It's like, ew, gross, no. But in reality, is it gross? Well, maybe a little bit. It might not be clean, but it's manageable. It's something that's got to happen. By removing the emotional representation to the object or to the bunny or to whatever it may be, to the animal, or to the human, you are able to come at it from a neutral standpoint. So why would I do something like this? How does this help me? So you guys remember, if you guys have been watching my podcast for any time over the last, like within the last 3 months, you would know that I was walking into town and one of the local residents, because he didn't like the fact that I was doing a live broadcast while I was walking down the street, and decided to pull out his gun, point it at me. He decided to shoot it off several times. And the thing is, because I was able to take away the emotional tied the emotional response that would normally be tied to something like that, because it's like, ooh, gun, it's being shot off, it's being pointed at me, I'm in danger. Okay, so then all of those have emotional ties that are attached to them. Okay. But the thing is by removing those emotional ties, when he did that, I was able to keep my composure. I mean, there was a little bit of fear, but that's because I understood that my life might actually be in danger. But as far as his actions, what he was doing, how his body language was going, I was getting rid of the emotional ties to the language and to the actions so that I can interpret it in such a neutral way that I was able to keep my composure and make sure that I didn't get that wasn't my last breath that I was going to take. Okay, this is why you want to remove emotion from as much stuff as possible. Now, some people may say, "Well, you need to or when I say you need to learn how to compartmentalize your emotions, what does that mean? What that means is that what that means is that um, your emotions are meant for certain times. When I'm with my partner, when I'm with my girlfriend, when I'm with my dog, when I'm with other people, I have my emotional connection with them. That is something because of that's our bond. That's what allows us to be who we are. That emotional connection, that is a place in where it's healthy. But in a chaotic situation, in a confrontational situation, are those emotions appropriate? So knowing when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate to be able to set up your emotions, this is an extremely important thing, because if you don't learn how, when, and where it's appropriate to use emotions, what will end up happening is you will be a person that is ruled by emotions. And most of these people, you see them manifest because they create a lot of their own chaos because they say, "Oh, I want to do this," and then as soon as everybody shows, "Oh no, I was just kidding, I didn't mean to," because they had buyer's remorse. And so when that happens, um, when that happens, what these people are doing is like in the moment when somebody says something, they are like, "Yes, I feel good about it," and they are letting the emotional feeling that they have be what allows them to make the decisions. Like, what is, is this going to make me happy or whatever? And so therefore they do this. And by doing this, what ends up happening is is they're allowing emotions to make their decisions. And so now everybody showed up. Now they get told, "Oh, well, we didn't want to do this," or they go through with it and they make everybody else miserable around them because all of a sudden now they've got the negative side because now they've got the buyer's remorse and they're too chicken to be able to just stand up and say, "No, I don't want this. I'm sorry, I made a mistake." Instead, they drag people along, and all that does is creates friction in the relationships in which you have. So that is why you want to learn to compartmentalize your relationships, because sometimes when we allow our emotions to run rampant and to decide everything that we do all the way down to our actions and our responses, what ends up happening is we're being ruled by our emotions. We're being ruled by a chaotic beast to begin with. And chaos breeds more chaos. Okay. Whereas ration and reason and logic, those are things that are stable. And so, if you want a stable life, a stable environment, and a stable mind, you must live with stability. It's stability in mind and stability in actions. And actions, if you want stability, you cannot have chaos. Emotions being chaos, if you're not putting them in their place when it's appropriate to be able to use them, because emotions are good. They are indicators. When somebody hurts your feelings, it's an indicator that they said or did something that made you feel bad or betrayed or something along those lines. And so therefore it is an indicator, but it is not your decision maker. Okay. And that's really where a lot of people fall short. And a lot of the chaos that we see in society, especially these Karens, is they're going around and they're acting on emotion and an emotional response. Some guy in their neighborhood had a dog and it got out and bit another dog, and now she's completely scared to take her dog out. So now every single person that she sees with a dog, she's going to call the cops and say that she's scared for her life because they've got an aggressive dog. So Karen herself is even operating under under the guise of fear, which is an emotional response, and she's allowing that fear and those emotions to be able to guide her in her decisions, in her actions, and in everything in which she does. That's why we call her Karen. Okay, so this is something for you to consider and to think about when you are thinking about how do I solve my problem. Well, your problem will never be solved if you use emotion, because emotions are temporary, they're fleeting, they come as quickly as they go. And so even when it comes to relationships, with people that you have a romantic relationship with, if there is not some foundation of logic and reason on why you like them, why you want to be with them, what it is that they offer you, what the benefit is that they bring, why would you stay and get up in the morning with them, even on a day in which they piss you off? I mean, really, why would you do that? And if you base that on emotion, eventually that emotion's going to go away. And this is why we have such a high divorce rate. Women go, "Well, the emotion went away. It went away for too long," because there was no foundation of logic or reason in why she actually liked the guy to begin with. In reality, she made an emotional decision, expected the emotions to stay, and when the emotions were no longer there was no logic, no reason, no foundation to why she was actually with that man. So therefore, she trades that relationship for the next relationship that makes her feel good until she no longer feels good. Okay, so we're seeing not only what happens when you're a responsible person, but also the cause and effect of negative behaviors. These are behaviors that will, over time, it may not happen to you today, it may not happen to you tomorrow, but it will over time erode all of your relationships to the point where when everything goes away and you're not getting a single dime to your name, all of those relationships will be gone and you will be homeless. This is one of the hardest lessons that you have to learn in life if you really want to escape homelessness, not just in physical being, but in mental being as well. Mm. But anyways, so for those, hey, what's up, Captain Akpana? Um, so I mean, this is kind of, this is where we as human beings, I think this is where we fall short. I think this is something that we as individuals need to be a lot more aware of. So the reason why I'm talking about this, and I just kind of wanted to do a quick plug. The reason why I'm talking about this is because on my website, I'm doing more of a consulting gig. I want to offer my knowledge and skills of my 25 years off and on the streets, plus my knowledge in business and my knowledge in sales and all these different things. I want to be able to offer it to you guys. But I think what I bring of value to you, which is the whole topic of this episode, is the ability to remain mentally resilient. This is something that I don't think very many people, if any, can actually teach. And in the way in which I'm teaching it, I pretty sure that nobody's actually teaching people to get rid of their not to get rid of their emotions, but to understand the place for their emotions, because emotions cause us more harm and more trouble than they're worth at most times. And most of the time, the emotion that we have is a wrong emotion to begin with. Oh, well, I thought you were being mean to me. No, I was saying that in a joking manner. Well, you know what? That how much damage did you do to that relationship due to a misinterpretation and an emotional response? And how long will that person be your friend until they get tired of it? And if somebody were to do that to you, how long would you tolerate that person until you got tired of it? Because you got to realize what you do to others, others will do to you. And my grandparents, I'm not going to give a lot of details, even though they're no longer on this earth. I found this story out as they were in their last stages of life, is that my grandfather had done something to a couple of my aunts, and they were upset with him. And my grandma, when she caught wind of it, she let it be, but she put him in his place, from what I understand. But everybody, the two girls were quite upset about what happened, and they thought that it was condoned. And so as my grandparents were ending the last stages of their life and they were getting senile, my aunts conspired to rob them, essentially blind, and did not do well. And here's the messed up part of all of this, is that they were doing it under the justification of that when we were weak and vulnerable, you took advantage of us. So now that you are weak and vulnerable, we will take advantage of you. Because that's the thing, is when you are traumatized, a lot of people think they seek out revenge, because revenge is an emotional response. If your parents were mean and horrible to you, you will therefore, seek out to be mean and horrible to others, unless you learn that that is inappropriate behavior. You learned it, but you can also unlearn it. Okay. But the thing is we seek out to reproduce our traumas and change the tables. Because if you spent all day getting berated by one of your parents, you are going to want to gravitate towards relationships where people will tolerate being berated by you, so that you can get your vengeful vindication. I mean, there's you could go deep into it. Jordan Peterson would probably be better, but I'm sure he would agree with me on what I'm saying, because it's grounded in quite a bit of pondering and logic and reason. But at the end of the day, I think that we end up acting our traumas out on other people. And when we are with someone, something that they do may give us an emotional response to an incident that had happened. And that incident in itself may have been very traumatic, but that incident doesn't necessarily mean it's repeating. And the fact that you've tied an emotional response to that incident, although instinctually correct, may not always be correct, because we live in in a much different society than we did 5,000 years ago, when if somebody was predatorial towards you, they were trying to expire you, and so therefore you had to be aware of it. It was generally one person, not every single person that you came across. Well, when it comes to when it comes to modern day, you have to actually again remove the emotional the emotion that's tied to the action, so that you can be neutral about it. Because the thing is although one person may have done this action and they have been malicious in it, another person can do the same action and still be benevolent in what it is that they're doing. Why? Because it's really the this is where a legal maxim, the intent is the soul of the instrument, really comes to light, which is your intent is really what gives the full on the full on come from. Like, so my if my intent is malicious, then the way that it's going to be played out on you is going to be with malicious intent, so therefore it's going to be crueler, more vindictive, all these different things. Versus if it was benevolent, it's going to be light and and less abrasive. And there are a lot of people that, even though they think that they're doing it as a benevolent human being, they are not being benevolent. They are just acting their traumas out on you, thinking that that's the help that you need. Okay, and that's the sad part about how we as a society have. My mom is a narcissist. Yeah, well, Captain Apana. So is my old man, and I will tell you this. You cannot change a human being. You must love them for who they are. By removing the emotional response and understanding that that's just who they are, they can become a hell of a lot more tolerable. I'm able to interact with my old man on a more positive interaction, because I understand what he's doing is not personal. There's nothing personal there. To him it may seem personal, but in reality in 5 minutes he'll forget what he was mad about anyways. But you have to learn to, in some ways, to let some of that go, because I tried for years to completely, exit my mother out of my life because of, who she was and what she did. And so many times I tried it, but there is a genetic umbilical cord, like a spiritual umbilical cord, that says that you are tied to that human being, whether you want to be tied to that human being or not. And that is the hardest thing to break, because that is what bonds mother to child, and same thing with a father to child, is that instinctual umbilical cord that you end up having. Okay, so this is just my interpretation, my understanding. So if you can't, this is one of those, if you can't beat it, join it. And this is a lesson in tolerance and understanding. And so figure out ways to where you can learn to tolerate what it is that's going on, and be understanding that this is who they are. Because it was my ex-wife who explained to me that my mother really did care about me, and she could see it in her actions, but I was so upset with my mother that I could never see it. It took my ex-wife of actually telling me this, and because my ex-wife told me this, I explored it from that point of view of, okay, so she sees this, maybe I might get to see it. And so for the last few years of my mother's life, I got to have a positive interaction, a positive influence. We actually had a strong bond by the time she finally passed away. And that was really, it was a lesson in humility, because if I would have missed out on my mother and having that relationship with her for the last few years, if I would have missed out on that, regardless of what she did to me, I would have regretted it. There was a lot of old people when I was younger and in my early 20s where I'm like, I hate my mother, screw her. And they're like, dude, no, you're gonna miss your mom when she's gone. Doesn't matter how good or bad she was, she's still your mom. And I'm like, and when I was in my 20s, I'm like, yeah, right. You don't know what you're talking about, old man. Your parents weren't as bad as mine. No, they probably were. The thing is now that I'm older and I'm wiser and I've got to experience life, you kind of understand that the relationships that you have, they are complicated and complex. You're never going to be 100% happy with someone. They're always going to do something that's going to irritate you. It's whether or not you have the tolerance, the empathy, and the understanding to be able to coexist with that individual, to love them for their faults and cherish them for their strengths. That is, I think, the true lesson in relationships. This is what I seek, and kind of my quest in all relationships, whether it be with my friends, especially those of you in the green room, or whether it be in my personal life, those that I actually have personal connections with. That is the overall thing that in which I think all relationships should be built on. They should not be built upon feelings or anything else like that. If there's not a logical reason on why you want to be with somebody. So I'm not talking about it a lot, but I will be somewhat descriptive. I am dating someone right now, and in dating this person, I have to accept all of them, not just the parts of them that I like, and discard the parts of them that I dislike. And when you accept a person for all of who they are, the good and the bad, that means you have made a commitment not to change that individual. And this is, and you've got to learn to be tolerable and understanding. There will be moments in which everybody shows their ass, and it's the ones that actually are able to remove the emotion and understand it from logic and reason. So why would I even consider dating? Well, this person logically has to offer me things in which, one, I cannot do for myself, and two, offer me things that could actually better my life. We're not talking about physical things. We're talking about who they are as a human being. Can they be a positive influence on my life? And that is really the logical foundation in which you let somebody in your life or you don't. Because if they're not going to benefit you, then, and they're not going to be a part of the success in your life, then they should not be in your life as a friend, as a lover, or even maybe as an acquaintance. But these are people that you don't want to let super close to you. So choose your friends carefully. People will come, people will go, but real friends are very rare to come by. And those are the people that you can tolerate, that you can cherish, and you can accept all of their faults along with all of their good qualities. And you can do it and find a benefit that they offer you in your life. That is not necessarily selfish. I think a lot of people think it's selfish, but it's not selfish, because there are some things you have to do for yourself. You are required to be selfish in certain things. It's when we take selfishness to a whole new level, to where it becomes harmful to those around us. That is when selfishness becomes bad. Selfishness is not bad at any time before that. And so, with this, guys, I hope that you guys in the YouTube chat, and those of you that watched and listened to this broadcast, I hope that you benefited and enjoyed it quite a bit. If you would like to be part of the green room, or if you would like to, you can come on over to Patreon. And if you guys would like to support the channel, so one of my subscribers actually, he's been talking to me. You guys remember him, Matt the Cat? Him and I talk on the back end a lot. I know he lurks in the background, but him and I talk quite a bit. And he brought up something to me that made perfect sense, and I can't believe I didn't offer it before, but it made perfect sense. It's like, hey, if I have, over time, because, and you can only do that if you want to partake in any of this, you got to do it through Cash App or PayPal. Doing it through YouTube, they take so much money. It would be, you'd be basically paying YouTube, not me. So if you donate $100 or more over time, doesn't have to be one lump sum. $5 here, $2 here, $1.99 there, 75 cents there. It all adds up. But I'm going to expect you to do the math. And if after you've donated $100 through either my Cash App or my PayPal, and you're like, hey, I would like a shirt or I would like a mug, and you tell me which one you want, kind of like Matt the Cat did for me. I will be more than happy to do something like that for you. But I'm going to leave it for those of you that want it, that want to do it, that are asking. So there is an incentive. If you're like, hey, I'd love to earn a free shirt, but I don't have the $30 for it up front. If you put in, if you put in money over time, or even one lump sum and it equals to $100 or more, I will be more than happy to pay for a shirt out of my own pocket and send it to you as a way of saying thank you. Because if you've supported the broadcast that much, that means that you want to see it up and running. And so for those of you that have done that, there's a couple of you that if you ever decided to reach out to me, because I know who sends me money and who doesn't, because I get to see it on the back end. It's not as anonymous as you may think it is. Um, I do get to see it. And so I just don't mention it because most people want their privacy. And so if you want to do something like that, I will give you, that is an incentive for you if that's something that you would like to partake in. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say thank you to those of you here on YouTube. I hope to see you on Monday. We do this survival broadcast every Monday through Friday from 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until we're done. And then we do the after party and the green room over on Patreon Monday through Friday before and after the broadcast if you'd like to become a part of that. So thanks for being here, guys. Those of you in the green room, if you would like to unmute, you are more than welcome to.